14 is one where you're going to have an algebraic expression as your answer. These are done similar to 13, except that this time we have a u there instead of a numerical value. Now, some things that this is going to say in here, I didn't write this down, but it's on the test. It says, use a right triangle to write this as an algebraic expression. And we're saying, assume that u is positive and that the given inverse trig function is defined for the expression in u. So the key word there is positive. That means that if this is a positive number, that means it's always going to be drawn in the first quadrant. Inverse cosine, you have a choice of quadrant 1 or 2. And because this is positive, we know it's going to be drawn in the first quadrant. So we can draw a triangle here in the first quadrant. And we're going to use the definition in order to label the sides. This is a theta. So theta, we say, is inverse cosine of u. If we take the cosine of both sides, we get cosine theta is equal to a u. And just so we have two things to label on the triangle, anything can be expressed as itself over 1. So the definition for cosine would be adjacent over hypotenuse. That means the adjacent side is going to be u, hypotenuse is 1. Okay, so this is the opposite side, so this has got to be adjacent. So adjacent over hypotenuse, it's going to look like that. So we have u down there and we have a 1. We want to use Pythagorean theorem to figure out this side, and then we'll use the definition for sine in order to write our answer. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. In this case, the c is got to be 1 because it's opposite the right angle we see here. So we'll just put a u in there for a, and then we're going to solve for b. So this just gives us u squared plus b squared equals 1. We'll subtract, so 1 minus u squared is your b. And then we're going to take the square root of that whole thing, square root of both sides, to get rid of the square there, and we get this. Because there's a minus sign in between, you're not allowed to square root both of these separately. If it's minus or plus, you can't do any more with that. So this is as far as we can go with b. So that's going to be this side right here, square root of 1 minus u squared. So now that we have that, we want to use the outside one in order to get our answer. So what we have on the outside is a sine. The definition for sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite here would be that square root over the hypotenuse of 1. So you would have square root of 1 minus u squared over 1, which is just going to be this. So what that means is that this whole expression here, sine of inverse cosine of u, that can be simplified just to this one right here, the square root of 1 minus u squared.